Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this introduction or perhaps a reintroduction to Practice Exchange. There's some of you that we have met before, and some we may not have had a chance to work with as yet. But over the next hour, we want to introduce you to Practice Exchange, what it is, what's on offer, how members and Family for Every Child Secretariat team can work together on it. This is meant to be a conversation, so please use this chat as we go. We'll build in a few moments to hear from you directly. Also, just so you know, there are two sessions happening today. There's one that is happening right now, where some of the members are joining, and one happening later in the day so that people can adjust with the time zones. We do not have any interpretation for this session. The session will be in English because we did not get any requests for other languages. But in case you are hoping to access the session in Spanish or French, uh, you will need to join the afternoon session. Or when we share the recording of this, you should be able to watch it with subtitles and therefore have access. Right, let's begin with some introductions. Right, so first of all, who's on this Practice Exchange team? So I am Rujuta Teredesai. I'm a Senior International Program Advisor for Practice Exchange, and I lead this work day to day. I joined Family in December, and I typically work on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And over to you, Dee.
Hello, I'm Deirdre Maguire. I'm the International Program Advisor for Practice Exchange, and I also work closely with the communications team here. I also work part-time from Monday to Wednesday, and between us, we support members with everything from peer learning to getting your work out to a wider audience. I think we also have other members of our team here today. Don't know if Jim, you want to say hello?
Hi, everybody. So I'm Jim Tomlinson. I work at the Secretariat in the High Value team. Thank you.
And as there aren't too many of us here today, perhaps everyone could take a moment to introduce themselves, the organisation they're representing, and also if they've taken part in any practice exchange work with us in the past.
When you're
Hi,
ready.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so from what I understood, sorry, I'm also having a little bit of technical troubles. I'm not the best with technology, but we can introduce ourselves, right?
Yes,
Like
please.
this way. Yeah. Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Gergana Dobreva. I am part of Animus Association Foundation, and I am an international programs and projects coordinator, expert. Yeah, so I guess I'm mainly the one who's um, following through with Family for Every Child and what we do together. Very recently, did a campaign for Blue Umbrella Day, which went great, and I would like to thank you for your support. So yeah, if there is anything else, I can jump in again. Thank you.
Thank you, Gargano, and welcome to the session today.
Lovely to
Thanks.
meet you.
Damien, we can see you're
Yes,
unmuted.
yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Damien Pilo, and I'm based in Ireland with an organization called TROR, which is an Irish word that means guidance or direction. And we provide supports to families that are not based on marriage. And we have three national programs. One is an information service, which we take calls from the public directly or meet people directly. They drop in, and we provide information on a range of legal issues that affect a non-marital family. We host and run the national program for young parent supports, which is 17 local sites around Ireland that provide a wraparound service to young parents under the age of 24. And we also
Recording in progress.
run the program for kinship care, which is the care of children that are not your biological children, usually by grandparents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, or family members. And on that particular issue, family have been very supportive and have been helping us in rolling out. They did an international best practice for kinship care, and that model has been very helpful in the Irish context. And I think this is my first engagement in the practice exchange. Thank you.
Thank you, Damien, and welcome. So it's maybe not a reintroduction, but introduction to practice exchange. So I'm really glad you're here. Anyone else would like to introduce before we move on?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am Seni Rosales from the Center for the Prevention and Treatment of Child Sexual Abuse here in the Philippines.
Mhm.
And we already hosted one practice exchange almost 10 years ago. And we will be holding again another practice exchange this year in November. So that's why we are very interested to join the session today, so that we could learn and unlearn and relearn something about practice exchange, particularly that we will be holding another one soon. So thank you so much.
Fantastic, Zeni. Thank you so much. You're welcome to the session as well. All right. If it's okay, we will continue. And please, if somebody joins in a bit later, would like to introduce themselves, do put it in the chat. So what we will cover today is first, what practice exchange actually is, why it exists, then what's on offer, the format, support available to you, who it is for, because it's broader than what you might think it is, and finally, how to work with us, some of the simplest ways to get started. As we focus on practice exchange is core to Family for Every Child's mission and vision. Sharing knowledge, documenting innovative, locally rooted approaches is at the heart of everything we do and forms the basis of our advocacy and campaigning work. So let's start with what we mean by practice exchange. Some of you who have been working with family more than me or Dee over here would refer to practice exchange as maybe peer learning visits. But we want to focus a little bit more on what more options are there within that sort of menu of practice exchange, and also what all we cover. So across our networks, members have an incredible wealth of knowledge built through years of working directly with children, families, and communities. And CSOs are constantly developing new approaches, new sort of ways of working, creating programs that overcome challenges in a completely new way. That knowledge is externally valuable, but if it stays within a single organization or a project or a country, its impact could be limited. So when we create opportunities for practitioners to learn from one another, that local knowledge becomes global knowledge, and that's where we can start creating and influencing change. And that's where our job as practice exchange team comes in. Sometimes it makes sense to share this knowledge in conversations via webinars or podcasts or peer learning visits. Sometimes we document approaches so others can adapt them. Sometimes we connect people in virtual calls who are facing similar challenges. Whatever the method we use, the purpose here is always the same, helping valuable knowledge move from one context to another and making it relevant and applicable and accessible to any practitioner in the sector. And put simply, practice exchange is one of the key pathways to impact at Family for Every Child. It's how we bring together knowledge, practice, learning, and evidence so that the experience of members and practitioners broadly working directly with children and family is captured, organized, and applied to strengthen programs and systems. Over to you, Dee.
Yeah, so you might be wondering what it is the practice exchange team actually does. Our role is to create knowledge, create opportunities to share knowledge between you, our members, and the wider Changemakers community. And we do this in a number of different ways. So first of all, we capture learning and we work with members to document your innovative approaches and practical insights that are emerging from your work with children and families. And we take that practice and we turn it into practical resources. These might be practitioner guidance papers, toolkits, or other learning materials. And we create opportunities for people to learn from one another. This might be through webinars, workshops, communities of practice, and by bringing practitioners together to share experiences, to share the challenges they faced, and to explore solutions to those challenges. And we try and share that knowledge as widely as possible through change makers and through other networks, because we want that practitioner knowledge to become visible and influential in social and policy spheres. And we are also increasingly looking at sharing it with the emerging AI knowledge bases so that we're really influencing that sphere as well.
And then before we go further, we would love to hear from you. What's a challenge in your work right now where hearing from other practitioners would genuinely help? You can pop it in the chat, or again, because it's a smaller group, feel free to unmute and share.
See everyone.
Again, the question is, what's a challenge in your work right now where hearing from other practitioners would genuinely help you?
I can start, I think, with something that comes to mind right now. So, yeah, just a little bit of context. Animus is an organization that works, it provides psychotherapeutical help and also psychosocial services to women, children, um, migrants. It's a pretty wide range of services that we provide. But for example, I am currently coordinating a project that concerns children, and especially we have a model here in Bulgaria that we've piloted, and it's already a state delegated model here in Sofia, in the capital at least. We're multiplying it. Anyways, we see that, for example, there is an increased need for work with perpetrators. So, and since the model that we're developing and we're improving all the time, we see that and we're working not only with the children but with the families as well. Working with perpetrators is something that we are trying to actively include and get better at, and train more professionals in it. So I think that's a topic that's pretty relevant regarding our work.
Absolutely. And that is something, again, there could be my practice exchange brain always buzzes when I hear from members, because there's so many ways, even during the process, that we can support you with documentation, seeing the initial results, scaling your or sharing your model with others. Definitely we could support and work together on.
Sounds amazing. Thank you.
Hi, Damien here.
Mm-hmm.
I just put it into the chat there, but on a more broader kind of issue that we're really finding challenging, and I think it's across the world, is that broader role of civil society. We are an organization that's 50 years old this year, and we are in the civil society space. We're independent of state, and our role and challenge has been for social change based on a core set of values and beliefs of raising the voice of those affected by the issues, that the lived experience is really important. The model, we're deemed to be charity in the charity space, but the model of work that we do is very much about systemic change and looking at the issues that cause the inequalities in society, and advocating for that change at both a policy and a practice level. And there's been a real pushback from what we would say are the far right, against civil society, against that role of in and against the state, working with, but also been able to criticize the state. And funding is becoming much more challenging if you don't provide the services only, and you are in that advocacy role. So one of the big challenges that we see is maintaining that space and the promotion of that values of collective action, of policy and advocacy work, the promotion of those core values of equality, of human rights and justice, which we feel is really under attack from voices that are gaining political, establish themselves in political ways. And even if they're not being elected, they're having major influences on the established parties to lean towards them, even in terms of migration, in terms of, civil and human rights. There's rollbacks and you see it at a European level, you can see it then at a national level. So there are some of the challenges that we face, as well as the day-to-day practices. And I agree with the last one, that the perpetrator issue is really important too.
Thank you, Dave.
I was just going to say, I think what you've just said, Damien, speaks to the value of networks and organisations such as Family for Every Child, and hopefully bringing you all together to feel that strength and that solidarity, but also look at solutions, because you're right, it is a changing world out there. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share about challenges they're experiencing at the moment? Should we move on?
Let's continue.
So, in terms of what's available in terms of practice exchange, we have a wide range of formats, products, whatever you might wish to call them, that we typically work with. So it might be anything from practitioner guidance papers that some of you will be familiar with or have been featured in. These tend to case study new and emerging themes or new and emerging ways of working, hopefully to share them with other organisations across the globe. Webinars, which I'm sure you'll all be familiar with, which are online sessions, which provide an opportunity for experts to share their knowledge, and also for short Q&As as well. Workshops that are slightly more informal and allow for a more conversational approach, for a real exchange of ideas. Hopefully you'll all be members of our online communities of practice on Changemakers. I would urge you to have a look at the different communities on there. We've recently launched a new mental health space for people to come together. Podcasts, again, some of you may have taken part in our podcasts. You can find them on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, as I think it's now obligatory to say. It's called Conversations on Care. And these provide an opportunity for us to chat to one or two of our members about the work they're doing. And they aren't just in English, there are some in different languages, so do share them with your network. Peer learning provides real in-depth opportunities to share knowledge. For various reasons, you'll be aware of the limitations on offering in-person visits, but we are also interested in looking at how we can facilitate really in-depth conversations virtually as well. So if you are aware of other organisations within the Family for Every Child network who are doing work you're really interested in, please do get in touch and we can try and pair you up. This is something Rajita's been leading on, but writing up thought leadership pieces, really trying to take the learnings that are shared within our webinars or other spaces and write them up so we could disseminate them widely online. And also collaboration labs. This is quite a new thing for Family for Every Child. We're looking at doing some time sort of short learning cycles where practitioners can get together and explore a shared challenge and look at developing new solutions. So if that is something that you feel would be of interest, please let us know. Equally, if that's something you've experienced and you don't think it works, or there are challenges for whatever reason, please do share that with us too, because we want this to be a collaborative process that we work together on. We've already shared quite a lot of information there. So we've got all of this in one place. We've developed a Family for Every Child practice exchange playbook, which I think will be sharing the links in the chat now. It provides details on how we sort of what we can do, and there's also a toolkit section which provides information on how we do it. So it can be quite a useful starting point if you're thinking about looking into a new project or you're looking for inspiration. That's a good place to start. It's available in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and French, and those links will be in the chat now. I will also share them via email after this meeting. Some of you will be aware of the Practice Exchange Hub on change makers. I'm just going to share that with you now, and you can find our existing work on there. So just let me pull that up.
We can see us.
You can see that, great. So this is under the resources section on change makers for children. It's in the Practice Exchange Hub, and you will find our work, everything from events and upcoming webinars. You'll also find recordings of our past events, practitioner guidance papers, research and toolkits, podcasts, and further research. So please do take a look at that if you're interested in our previous work. Going on to, sorry, let's put this back in slideshow. Who is Practice Exchange work for? Primarily it's for you, our members. And we really want it to be an opportunity for you to share your learnings with each other, participate in our thematic learning spaces, and have your experiences reflected in our guidance work. Participation is always voluntary. We do often include a wider range of organisations. So, for example, our webinars are open to all our Changemakers users. They're not just limited to our membership. And we do encourage external audiences such as funders and policymakers to engage with us through these methods. We'd also encourage you, if you do have a look at the Practice Exchange Hub and you find something that's interesting that you think another CSO would be interested in, please do share these. They're designed to be shared to help develop knowledge and to really build that learning globally. So we'd be delighted if you pass that on. Over to you, Vijita.
Yeah. So when should you bring the Practice Exchange team in? So Dee has shared the playbook, which I've also shared the link for in the chat. There you will see different ways and the different examples that Dee gave right now. But it need not be that you engage us just, when we approach you. There might be ideas where you spot a recurring learning, not just from your own perspective, but when you're working with other members. You want to organize peer learning or collaboration spaces. You had an idea. You want to develop guidance, toolkits, or learning materials, not just to the work that you sort of represent within family, but it also could fit within the broader work around child protection and family strengthening. Even if you have not spoken to any of the family secretariat team about it or other members, but you think this is relevant for us, let us know. You want to improve your engagement through change makers. For example, you want your information to reach bigger audiences and wider sort of network of practitioners. Um, your So for example, if you're launching any new initiative, again, there are different platforms where you could do it. So first, bring us in. We will help you co-design, lead. Sometimes you may not even need us, but you could use one of the tools in the playbook to design your own learning space and just let us know. We've used it. I found it useful, or there could be improvements to be made. So these are just some of the ideas where you could bring us in. Again, this is not an exhaustive list. The idea is you have the knowledge, you have the experience, and it's going to be useful and valuable to other people. So if you have that idea, contact us and we will work with you to either co-design or support you, or we can lead as well based on the need. So we wanted to make sure. Sometimes what happens is, the reason we have mentioned these different options and different toolkits is you may just get stuck on the format. So don't worry about the formats. We can mix the two formats together. We can create a new format that we require, as long as it's the right method for sharing the knowledge and experience that you are interested in sharing. And one thing we always say, don't wait for the idea to become perfect. Don't wait for it to be like fully formed before you come to us. Bring us in early, make us your sort of brainstorming thought partners, because we could collaborate and design something that is relevant for you, but also for the wider audience. Next one, please. Again, let's hear from you now. If we work together on one thing this year, what would be most useful to you and your organization? Again, you can type in the chat or unmute yourself.
Hi, can I go?
Please.
Hi, yes. As you were talking there, it really struck me that we probably haven't utilized you in the way that we should. We are tasked with a piece of work this year, which I would love to get a sense from others. I'm sure others are having the same issue. We've been asked to create a toolkit to support services to better engage with dads or men in a parenting role who may, but primarily don't live with the mother. But even if they do, they're often not included by services in the parenting role from pregnancy right through to early years, up to 5 years of age. And we've been asked to help support the state agency to create a toolkit that agencies and services can use, state services and public services can use around the engagement of dads or men in a parenting role with their children. And it's been a very interesting journey so far. But as you're talking, I'm thinking, wow, others may have done this in other countries, or what's the best practice guides? And we've looked to the UK in many cases, but it'd be really interesting to see, and even that notion of a toolkit. Your examples of what you've done in other places will be very useful. So that's something that we would be very open to working with if others were.
Absolutely. And this is where we could also see if there are members, again, connect you to other members, bring them in, develop either a common toolkit or something that may exist already. So definitely all things are possible here.
Great.
And I would say, if you're looking for that kind of information, I mean, do try, posting about it on Changemakers, seeing if there are other organisations, even beyond the Family for Every Child membership, who are working in this field. And it sounds very, very interesting, and I'll definitely be in touch with you about that. Is there anyone else who's had ideas sparked by this chat?
Well, I don't think, I mean, as I already said about, I think the topic that's really relevant to us right now, but I do think that the peer learning visits can be a very nice way to brainstorm and, share ideas and maybe, learn from each other. And then obviously I think the toolkits and the guidance papers and all this stuff is also very useful, and especially if we put our collective efforts into developing something like this, could be a really, really good thing.
Yeah, and also to name that we all, I mean, sometimes may have financial constraints to be able to organize a physical visit, but that shouldn't stop the exchange at all. So we could have a very, very structured way of visiting each other virtually. So we're still able to learn from each other, be prepared for the session, things like that. So we can help facilitate that. And again, sometimes you may not even need our input. You might just be able to connect with the member. But if you need our support in facilitating that, we are here as well for that.
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
Is there anything anyone else would like to share? In that case, that was the information we had to share with you. Thank you for joining us today. I hope, at least by putting names to faces or talking through what we can do, you feel a bit more able to approach us. If you've got some ideas, you can email us directly. We've got an online form where you can make requests. We'll share that with you in the chat and also in a follow-up email. There might be opportunities when we will reach out to you, but please don't let that be the only way we engage. Cynthia, please. You've raised your hand.
Yes, I'm Seni from Manila. My in the screen it's Cynthia. It's my colleague. I'm just I just would like to ask because there will be an upcoming learning exchange here. It's face to face here in Manila. I don't know if are you part of the planning process for this particular learning exchange or practice exchange coming soon?
So me and Dee are informed about it, but we are not necessarily the ones organizing it. There will be particularly folks from the Prevention of Sexual Violence portfolio, their team members, our advocacy sort of lead on there, along with an external consultant. They are planning that separately right now. Because again, because of the conference and the related event, there's quite a significant added factors that need to be considered. So we will be part of it, but we won't be leading it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and does anyone have any questions for us?
Just that question around the last slide was just around getting in touch. So when you said postings on the Changemakers website, or the Changemakers chat, whatever way you phrased it, I haven't used that. Is that through the website, or is it what you're going to send us in the link or the links in the chat there? Is that where we would do some of that? Where we might.
Thank you, Damien. That's actually a really useful insight for us to hear. That's not been kind of shared with you maybe in the way it should have been in when you join family. I will certainly send you a link to it. I will also include a link to the Practice Exchange Hub to everyone when I follow up with emails after this. You need to sign up, but it's where you should be able to you'll be able to find out about events from family, events from other CSOs. It's a really, really rich hub of information. I think we have over 4,000 users from 140 countries, I think I might have seen. So yeah, it's definitely worth investigating. And also, as I say, it's not limited to our membership. So if you have colleagues or you're working with partner CSOs who you think might benefit from it, please do share. but I'll certainly I'll send you the link, and our colleague Felipe, who manages the platform, he is incredibly helpful if you have any questions.
Brilliant. And does that mean that any staff member can access that, or does it have to be one person within the organization? So if other members of the team are working on particular things, they have access to it too?
Absolutely.
Perfect. That's great.
And also to say that any event that Family for Every Child hosts, be it a webinar, any resources, we always make it a point to share it on the Changemakers community. Again, if there might be certain times, though, also to say that it might be a context, like a very sensitive context, which we may not be openly able to share. So there will be sort of closed groups as well within there, but majority of the content is open to everyone. And something that me and Dee have not covered in this, something that both of us are working on along with colleagues is also how to follow some safeguarding protocol, even when we do learning. And particularly, Damien, I think you mentioned about lived experience, that if there is any sensitive information that we should not be following, just making sure it's in the interest and sort of practicing our duty of care. So we are planning to add to the playbook a section on safeguarding as well when it comes to these learning opportunities or sort of exchanging information and knowledge. Again, we would really love some feedback on that if it's not right, if it's particularly from the different contexts. If you have any feedback, please do let us know on that as well. But that is not ready to review as yet. And what we might do is we will update it in the existing links and then share a notification with everyone that this update has been made.
And also, when we do run events, for example, we are not limiting it to just one member of staff from any organisation. Multiple members of staff are welcome to join if that's appropriate.
And in fact, just adding to what Dee said, it's really, we sometimes find that the leaders within the organizations are the one who engage most, but the staff who are actually practicing and may have additional nuance or might benefit more from the knowledge to be able to implement. So really more staff members engaging with the content and engaging with the resources is really welcome and encouraged.
Are there any other questions? In that case, I just wanted to say thank you very much for joining us today and being part of this conversation. Our contact details are on the screen, so don't hesitate to get in touch. We will be following up, as I said, with an email, so I'll pop all that information in there, as well as links to the playbook, the inquiry form, and to Changemakers as well. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day, and thank you for joining us.